Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. So this is the final panel for our day. And as we said earlier, each panel has been designed differently. So we were very clear that the panel organizer would decide, and along with the panel participants, how it will go. So this one, I'll introduce my colleague, Farhang. Farhang.
Good afternoon, or rather good evening. My name is Farhang Morady. I have got two major roles to play at this university. I'm a principal lecturer in international development. I'm also director of Democratic Education Network. This is a network that it involves the staff and students, and we work on different projects. The students are mainly running the show, and some of the projects we work on, we have an online magazine, we publish a book, we have a field trip, we go and see plays, and various other things students can explain to you later on. And I have been doing this, or managing this project since 2016. The project was runner-up for the Guardian Award in 2019. It was recognized as one of the best projects in the country. And the kind of work we do is not only located at the university, we also work with local communities in London and international partners. So it's both specific and broad. I think that's enough from me, and I pass it to Beasley.
Yeah. So the reason we are doing a joint act together, by the way. So that's why I'm here. I'm not here because I like being here, but because we thought we could do it together. You can see the panel is quite big. So, well, one of us can't manage on our own. We don't know how difficult they're going to be or how amazing they're going to be, and therefore we are doing it on our own. But part of it, you'll see why. Because other than we have got 3 of our current students, you can raise your hand, and we had one who was our student there, and then we have got 2 others who are not our students directly. And so the reason I'm thinking about especially the 2 of them, they work in an area which I am more familiar with and I'm interested in. So we thought we could do it together. So we will ask each one of them to introduce themselves very briefly, and then we have got one set of questions for each one of them. Should we start with you, Senthalir, this side?
Yeah. Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for staying back. I thought it's the last session, so people would go away. Yeah, but thank you. Yeah, I'm Senthalir. I'm a journalist. I'm a senior editor from work with the People's Archive of Rural India. I'm based in Bangalore, and I identify myself as a journalist from Dalit community, which is considered to be a former untouchable. I mean, though untouchability is still practiced in India. And I'm also one of the less than 3% of women journalists from the Dalit community who work in the English media. So, yeah.
And the population would be around 15%.
16.6.
16. So think, less than 3%, population 16%. Fine.
Thank you so much, Devesh. My name is Sushant Singh, and I'm a first generation Dalit student, and who hails from a very small village in Bulandshahr, which is located in Uttar Pradesh. And currently, I'm a student union co-president at SOAS University of London, and I am a lawyer in India. And I would like to thank Devesh for organizing and the moderator for this session. And I will be speaking on the Dalits issue, and I will say that one session cannot be enough to understand, keeping in mind the very intelligent audience, because I have been noticing since morning. But we will try to summarize the points, and let's see how the discussion goes. Thank you.
How are we all doing, guys? Are we still okay? Are we still here? Fab. Well, my name is Wale. I am an unofficial graduate of the University of Westminster. Thank you for that. And I am the Black Student Community Organizer for the Student Union. And that's all about me. You get to know me a bit later.
We will. Hopefully. Hello, how are you? I'm Anna. People call me Anushka. Feel free to call me like that. I am a second-year student here at the university studying IR, International Relations and Development. And I'm here to talk about diversity and tell you perhaps my personal story. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Shareefa. I'm a poet, also alumni of the University of Westminster. I studied international relations and Arabic as well, which I dropped after my first year, so I don't even know why I mentioned it. But yeah, I did international relations, and these two are my lovely lecturers. And yeah, I just do a lot of justice work in regards to like justice campaigns against state violence.
And hi, my name's Jake Beasley. The same as Anna, I study international relations and development, and I'm here to talk about inclusivity, I believe. And yeah, thank you. I would just say I think it's a testament to our speakers that we're still all kind of engaged at this part of the day. So thank you, it's been really interesting.
Thank you. And the rationale for having this discussion was, of course, we are talking of all forms of racism, but we're also looking at how to mobilize, organize. And okay, I'm not saying that you all, most of you are very young compared to us, right? But we do need more people to mobilize around ideas, and Democratic Education Network, as Farhang mentioned, is one of the examples in which young people, relatively, not all young, by the way, so I don't want to be ageist there, but let's say students have mobilized themselves to challenge injustices and work together. So that's the reason for it. Right? The first question, and I'll start with Senthalir here, is if you could say a bit about how many of you have heard the term Dalit? Caste, India, right? So now, I know, imagine the violence of thousands of years I'm asking you to speak on in less than 5 minutes, right? So I don't want you to do that, but could you just say a bit about to what extent, according to you, being Dalit is also, it's like racialization or racism? And if you could say a bit about, you could talk about yourself, or you could talk also about the work you have done.
Thank you, Dibesh. So I would, it's like thousands years of history, which it's difficult to confine it in few words. But I would say this, caste, as like most of you all know, is a social hierarchy, and it is, it was like considered to be based on a division of labor, but there's also, what is central to it is the practice of untouchability, which is what it sets that apart from racism, and it's a practice that is, dehumanizing and inferior, considering the fellow citizen, the person in the same race, inferior to the other. And it's, as Dr. B.R. Ambedkar puts it, it's like an ascending order of reverence and descending order of contempt. The lower you are considered to be in the hierarchy of caste, the more contemptible and impure and also polluting. So the very sight, touch, and even the food that we eat is considered to be polluted, and still we are not allowed inside the temples, the sanctum sanctorium of the temple, because as we enter, it means that we are polluting the temple. So even if as a protest somebody enters, the whole temple is shut down or cleansed. I mean, it's there has been a lot of resistance over the years, but from what I have been reporting for the past 14 years from rural Karnataka, from rural South India, the presence of untouchability is still very much present, and if I can just put across some statistics, that like every day at least 8 Dalit women get raped by the upper caste. It's not just, it's because, not just because they are women, because they are also Dalit women who are, and that the ownership, the power is, the exercise of power is, of casteism is very much present.
Thank you. It's a very sensitive topic, first of all. So I'll keeping in mind we have a very diverse audience to engage. So I'll say that in addition to what my community sister has already said, is that what is Dalit? So Dalit is the broken people, like most downtrodden community of the society. They have been treated as untouchable from the past 1,000 of years, more than 3,000 of years, and the practice, as she has already said, that the practice is still prevalent. It could be a very different form. In the rural areas, it's exactly the same. And in so-called progressive or the developed areas, the means are different, the structure is different, so the untouchability is also different. And I'll be very brief. It's a topic which is very difficult to be being brief, but I'll try my best. So the main distinction, if I have to make between the Dalits and the racism, the people of color. So as the Annihilation of Caste, Dr. Babasaheb B.R. Ambedkar has said, that it was very difficult for people, it started from India, so it was very difficult to understand who is Dalit and who is not. So the so-called upper caste, Savarna people, they had to tie some threads on their wrist or on their ankles to identify that there are 4 people, but one person is the Dalit. So this is the man-made structure, which is a social hierarchy, and they tried their best to identify them as the excluded community in the society. So this is the Dalit community. And when I have to go into deeper, what was the intention of them? It was a pure blood or the impure blood. So Dalit has been treated as the impure blood, that we cannot mix up with you, we cannot eat with you, we cannot sit with you. And there were, like, for example, that if one Dalit person is walking, there used to be broomstick attached in their back. So your first footstep is making the streets dirty. So you should not be allowed to doing that. There was a big pot was hanged in your neck, so your saliva shouldn't touch on the ground. So it was like that. Right now, people can say that it's not anymore, but the new form is, for example, people are being killed in India for having mustache on their face. And I can say this right now, you just take out the phone and you just type on the Google, Dalit killed. Right now I'm saying, and you will find out for drinking water, for entering temple, and the news, you will just tap it, it will be like 1 day ago, 2 days ago, which shows that the Dalits are being killed on daily basis in 2023 as well. And then after that, there are few things I'll say. I prepared a couple of things, but keeping in mind paucity of time, I like to read one thing. It is not easy being Dalit in India. You are appeased, you are belittled, and you are discriminated by the Savarnas on all levels. I am my ancestor wildest dream. It shook me with goosebumps to assert that. From a community that was hindered in accessing public spaces, to be here an embodiment of their aspirations. But the struggle continues. Instead of public spaces, it is in the public university. And the institution, we are struggling for fair equal opportunity and equal treatment. The reason I say is, the Dalits the young Dalits are struggling with the institution now. The earlier, there was a denial for entry in the temple, which is still there, but the students from the Dalit community who wants to study, they have been denied for different manners. One of them is the scholarships. Scholarships are very limited. From India, as per the UK data, in 2021, 118,000 people came from India. In 2022, 144,000 people came from India. Bahujan students are the majority, SC, ST, OBC, but they are not able to make up of the 1% of that population, which simply means 150,000 people are coming, not even 100 people are coming from that community. This is how we have been denied the accessibility of the education. And when I compare with the racism, there are very few differences, but more of the similarities. The differences like our discrimination is based on the human made, and the racial discrimination on the basis of physical appearance and physical different kind of characters. And the geographical location, and one thing it is very fascinating for me after coming here, there is a BAME community here, and which is in itself is a minority, which is as per 2021 data is 14%, which includes the Asian community. But the point is, within the Asian community who is claiming themselves as a minority, there is a minority section who is not getting the recognition itself. So the caste is not only limited to India now, it is going wherever the Indians are going, whether it's a Pakistan, whether it's a US, UK, so wherever the Indians are going, it's always there. So we really need to recognize that how we are inevitably practicing caste system on the campuses. First of all, there's so many research has been done on the caste by by the renowned researchers and the faculties, but the research is being done on the Dalits, not by the Dalits. So if we have to see that how many Dalit scholars we have in the higher institutes, number is very few. How many Dalit professors we have in the teaching industry? Answer is very few. This is how we practice casteism when we are claiming ourselves as a minority. And the few, last I'll finish with saying the few similarities with my brothers from different communities. We have the social hierarchy, there's stereotyping against us, we have the inequality, we have inaccessibility of the educations, there's a legal framework in the campuses, but the caste policies are not there. I've been raising this thing that we should have an anti-caste policy discrimination on the campuses in the UK at least, because if the caste discrimination happening on the campus, that there is no recognition, because they do not recognize it. There have been a struggle, and the few organizations have been working, including the Dalit Solidarity Network, and many more, but that is also not included in the Equality Act. Thank you so much. Jai Bhim.
One of the ways for academics like me to find a way to transfer the idea of diversity or equality or justice is to find a space and platform where I can behave in such a way that my students can see the kind of a role model or the kind of a person that is teaching them. It takes them to the same journey that we are talking about in the classroom. The Democratic Education Network has always been proud of being responsible and taking care of those concepts that it can only mean concepts unless we explore it, we bring it into practice. So I think and I believe in the last few years, the kind of stuff that we have done in there, it has proven time and time and again how diverse we are. I think one of the good things that when we meet once a week for 3 hours and the students, they join us voluntarily and is outside of the curriculum, the wide range of students and the kind of things that they discuss, it represents that. But I really want my students to talk about these things more. And my first question to my students is, what do diversity, equality, and inclusion means to them? And what has their experience been like at the university so far in the last 2 years or in the last 3 years? Over to Wale, Anushka, and Shareefa and Jake.
I think, to me, I would say what EDI means to me is these are terms that are used to describe, for example, policies and programs that promote representations. And these are usually groups of people that are underrepresented in either teaching staff or in any organization really. And I think my experience as a black student at this university has been very interesting. I started. This is my 4th year because I started from foundation, and at the very beginning, it was a struggle to have like a community-based space where, as a black student, I can feel comfortable expressing myself in the way I would like. And what I did was I wanted to see what I can do to improve that somewhat. And then I looked at what students in the past have done, and what the university is doing, and what could be changed, what could be done differently to improve on that. And I've been on that journey ever since. And I would say that I'm really blessed and privileged that I'm in an institution where they're very happy to listen to what you've got to say. And not just that, but they actually put their words into actions. And I would say I'm one of the beneficiaries of something that wonderful black staff put together in collaboration with the university, which they called Black History Year Create. And this is a program where black students that identify as black, are put through a series of workshops of how to navigate professional space when they graduate. And it's been immensely beneficiary to me, and I think a lot of students that are part of this program would attest to that. And that's just one example of programs that I've involved myself with, and so many other ones. But generally, I would say when I look back in 2019 to say, yeah, what has improved, what has changed. There's been a lot of changes, positive changes, but there's still room for improvement. But I would say generally, my experience here has been really blessed, and I'm glad I'm here and I came to this university. That's all I can say.
Thank you. I can only agree with you, and I would like to say first thing that since I've known you, this is the second year I know you, you've grown so much. I mean, I met you already as a very confident person, and I had no idea that you felt like this at the beginning, your foundation year, and just, I'm impressed with everything what you've reached and what you will reach, because I think you're having a very great and bright future. Anyhow, the one thing what I would like to say before I start is when you mentioned that all studies on Dalits are done by people that are not Dalits, and I will say, even if we think on African studies and the whole subject as it exists, since I can't tell how many years ago, please help me if you know, has been done and established by people that are not related whatsoever by Africa, really. They're white, and I mean, nothing against, but how could you do African studies if you really don't know? You've never experienced it, right? And then you have there are conferences yearly, mainly like in the Western countries, and people, academics, qualified academics from Africa, they are not really allowed to attend those conferences because their visas are denied or anything like that. So where is kind of justice in it? So going to diversity and equality, yes. Do we have equal opportunities? Yes, we do. You are more than welcome to attend that conference, but is it equitable? No, not really. We'll just won't let you go there because either it's too expensive or you just can't get there. And then you just read articles, which, of course, I'm not absolutely, people enjoy it, and I'm sure that people are qualified enough. But what I'm trying to say, you read those articles and there's academic work, which is incredible. However, it's done by someone who actually is not really related into it. So where is equality in there? So what I would say, there is something, or there is a piece that needs to be changed and perhaps looked at as well, decolonize, if that's the right word. And my experience, and talking about then, as you said, Wale, that's, and to many students. So this experience at University, Westminster, probably, it really differs to whoever attends and join then, and to whoever, I don't know, is just a student. I mean, we are all important, absolutely. But what I'm trying to say, that experience, it's completely different. That university experience is completely different. What am I doing? It is, you feel you belong to a community, to a diverse community, even though this university is so diverse. And you feel supported, you grow as a person, and contribute on various projects through videos, Black History Month, or I don't know, field trips, just reviewing articles, or just being there and sharing your stories over pizza, It all makes it. And you don't even realize, but when you leave, you've gained so much. You've gained confidence, that's for real. And secondly, perhaps you just learn how to love yourself, even if you didn't know before. It's very important to love yourself and just enhance who you are. Like I look, quickly I'll tell you, I look fairly white. However, I'm just not that white. So my mom is half black. And what it means, so I come from Slovakia, that is a very white country. Being there, so I wasn't white enough, but at the same time, I'm not black enough. So where do I stand? So like long time, many years, I just didn't feel really European 100%, and I knew there is something. I didn't know what it was, and I wasn't like 100% happy. I still didn't know what it was. I tried to straighten my hair and just be as, every second girl around me. But when I found that I've been hiding my real identity, which is, it isn't me, and coming to this university and even to London, being around all this diversity around me, I just learned how to be me and not to hide what is inside of us. So hence, each of us, the way we look and the genetics we have, that's what makes us special and unique, and that's how we got our talents. Each of us, we are talented into something else. So instead of pretending that, oh, I wish to be like that person next to me, let's just be ourselves. And if someone finds us, that's good, because this is us. We don't have to hide anything. Thank you.
Hi. So when I heard the question this morning, I was thinking about what my answer would be. I'm a huge history geek. I always describe myself as that. I am really fascinated with like the story of humanity and civilization and the challenges we go through. And for me, equity, I think when I think of those words, I think of the kind of the crossroads of civilization, places like London, but places in the past, I think of, like Istanbul, Constantinople. I think of kind of Rome, like these places which had such a huge mixing of people for kind of various reasons. But for me, it's this kind of like mixture of cultures and people is what really enriches the UK. I think it's probably one of the best things about UK that we have, and I think we should try and hold on to that for as much as possible. Let's go to my notes. I think, sorry, I do know what I'm actually talking about, but yeah, I think, I don't have much more to say on that, I suppose, but I think it's really, you can only really grow from being in an environment where you have like lots of different people from different backgrounds around you. I think it's something that we should really try to encourage in the UK, and I think from our perspective, it's about kind of being open to receiving that. And to kind of like touch on what Anna was saying earlier about kind of like your authenticity and how you kind of present yourself. I think to kind of like go back to the first speakers we had this morning, they were talking about kind of wearing a natural hair in the workplace. I think we all kind of face those challenges about kind of like suppressing your kind of like true identity, how you would like to present yourself. I think we all kind of like present ourselves in certain ways to suit the environment we're in and the people that we're working with. But I think we should all kind of like reflect on how we can challenge that and push the boxes of those kind of suppressions, I guess. Because I think we all, by doing that and by kind of like presenting ourselves in an authentic way to people around us, I think we're making it more accessible for other people to do the same as well. And I think that's a really important thing that we can all kind of reflect on. And also how we interact with other people as well when they're kind of going through those kind of transformations. I think for myself personally, I like to change how I look a lot. So I feel like if I see someone else doing the same, I like to kind of be kind of confident, optimistic about that and recognize it. And yeah, I think that's kind of what I would kind of end on. But thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I've just gone on a proper tangent in my head. But yeah, I think like when I was at this university, it was even just like having my articles published in the what was the paper called?
Online magazine.
Yeah, it was like the online magazine and stuff. So when I was at university, I did go to Palestine in the summer, and then in 2012, I went to Sierra Leone, and doing stuff around neocolonialism and all the rest of it. And DBH and Farhang are just happy to publish whatever I want to say, and that was the start of my journey in being able to express myself. Because at times I do feel like academic arenas are just like disconnected to everyday communities. Like I'm from a very marginalised working class community in Leicester, and a lot of these conversations, even the whole conference, people aren't going to have access to a lot of these topics. Why sometimes people are quite bigoted in whatever they think or believe. They never interacted with people that I have, or whatever else. But I think one thing like going forward, like for example, I do a lot of stuff around housing campaigning. And I'm doing a campaign, like a poetry campaign video for the president of the Chartered Institute of Housing at the moment. And one thing when we talk about EDI and inclusion, at the same time, one of the main point why I'm working on this campaign is because sometimes EDI is just lumbered into one big pool. So there's so much overlapping rather than, we're addressing everything, but it's like, no. So this, like the campaign that I'm working on is to specifically address why are there so few. For example, at the Grenfell inquiry, people who are aware of the Grenfell fire, all the people that were from the Kensington, Chelsea and TMO, Tenants Management Organisation, they were all white that were at the inquiry, So the question is, like, if there were more people of colour involved, would tenants' concerns have been raised? And I use that as an example because I feel like we can't just see EDI and just bung all the problems and the issues like disability rights and everything else all together. I think everything needs its clear cause for concerns. Solidarity can be shown between things. For example, in the same way I've mentioned the issue of disabled housing tenants not having their personal evacuation plans not being heard. For over 40% of the people that died in Grenfell were actually disabled. So, you can mention these things, but at the same time, we can't take it away. So I think that's reflective of a large broader thing. So, yeah, just to take that in consideration when thinking about EDI.
Thank you. Of course, I know the disparate discussions here, but what brings together, of course, the important challenging prejudices, then the ways in which, of course, different prejudices might have different things, and we are using prejudice quite loosely here, but challenging prejudices, but also working to challenging them, but working towards something better, right? But before that, you saw I went to Sushant and Senthalir, I was asking them something, because when Sushant gave that figure, that less than 100 students from all the Indian students in Britain are from, and he used the word Bahujan and Dalit, right? So now, basically, the category he's talking about is 85% population of India, 85. So we are talking of from 1.2 billion population in India, 1.2 billion, only 100 students are coming to UK per year maximum. What does it tell you? While in UK we are celebrating, not all of us, but some are celebrating that we are getting the largest number of students are from India, which means we are much more diverse. Just think of it that majority of them, 99% of them, are coming from a very small community of upper caste, dominant caste, exploitative caste, and middle class or upper class, whatever. But the caste is important there, right? So I just wanted to highlight that because we are not talking of a small scale, but a very large scale, which most of you who would not be familiar with India would not realize. Because one challenge when we deal with prejudices and racism, etc., is the gatekeeping that's done by those who are not white. I mean, if you take example of the current government and the ways in which they operate, the most vicious attacks on critical race theory comes from a black woman. The most vicious attacks on any kind of humane approach towards migrants comes from a brown woman. And the most vicious form of the government that's being led is by a brown man, right? And all of them are involving themselves in racial gatekeeping. That's what they do. And so I'm just highlighting that because one thing you understand about India, now most of you would not understand, is that you can assume majority of us I'm including myself in academia, right? Not you, right? Academia. You're going to, where are you from India? We can talk of various things and the ways in which we have been victimized, but 99.9% of us are from exploitative castes rather than the dominated caste. That's what you meant when you talked, look, what does it do? Now, question for you, and it's for both of you, is we know the situation, there's a prejudice, there's casteism, there's a deep hierarchy at every stage, including higher education. So Senthalir, in your work, I know, and she's a journalist, by the way, visiting on British Council program, but could you say a bit more about what do you think is the role of education or curriculum in trying to challenge those prejudices? Yeah. Or role of curriculum, how important is it to change things in education sector to make the society more just?
Okay, before I come to that point, I would like to just give a brief sense of what it is to be in a space that's like the intellectual space, like academia, and how casteism is, is closely related to that idea of intellect, because the priestly class that's upper caste is the only caste that was considered that had access to education, and the lower caste who even attempted to learn or to even study by themselves, they were violently killed, or there was a lot of violence. I mean, there's been a generation of, we need to understand that like over generations they have been deprived or discriminated in the education system. And I'm the second generation, so which means like, and he's the first generation graduate. And you can understand that to what extent education system, the institutions play a part also in perpetuating the caste hierarchies. And since it's completely dominated by the upper caste, and there is a blindness because we are underrepresented, and they do not also know or understand, acknowledge that there is a problem. And over the years, because of Constitution allows for reservation in education and government employments, and also there have been like voice against these discrimination. There has been students who are moving to the university spaces, and it is I think even when I was studying in my college in the post-graduation, I do not think we would discuss about caste. It's something that, and especially in the urban spaces, caste doesn't exist, is what is considered to. Clearly, we know that the housing, the employment, everything is segregated based on caste, though we are all look alike with the same skin tone, whatever. But the existence, because of that, there is very less debate or discourse in the class, in the academic spaces about caste. And there have been students who have, from these marginalized backgrounds, who are getting educated in the universities. They have formed their own groups to discuss and also like emphasize on why we need to have that kind of a debate within the academia. So that's what is happening. I mean, it's as an institution, as an educational space. I mean, what is happening here? I mean, I would be surprised if something like that happens back home. And it is definitely a struggle even now to get into even talk about these things. And yeah, I mean, it is very important, I would say, that the voices of marginalized section, people from the marginalized section, are at least acknowledged and considered, and it's opened up to debate in the room. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, yeah, so again, for wider context, I'm translating it for you, the contextual thing, right? So in Indian constitution, there is a affirmative action. So we're not talking of positive action, we're talking affirmative action. That is the only reason why some people with that background would actually even come up to a certain stage. Without that, it would not have been possible. But what's happening in Indian context is that there's already backlash against even that limited affirmative action. So anyone who's Dalit or from that background, they'll say, oh, you are benefiting because you got that, quota is what it's called, affirmative action. There's a constant, there's a constant, I don't know what that, there's a constant focus on belittling them. That's the wider culture. But how to mobilize against it? Sushant, the reason I'm turning towards you is, of course, you are co-president at SOAS, School of Oriental and African Studies. You're a lawyer. I know you do a lot in terms of mobilizing students, both Dalits and also non-Dalits, together to make progressive space more progressive, right? Because again, the context is, as we were discussing in anti-Semitism panel, that parts of the left, including in India, are very caste blind. They pretend not to understand caste. So they have been as upper caste dominated as the right-wing space, right? So I'm just wondering, what are the ways in which you personally, or what are the ways in which we can mobilize where casteism is first acknowledged and then challenged so that there is, broadly speaking, an equal opportunity for everyone?
Thank you, Devesh. So first of all, I try to do a little bit for the oppressed class, to be honest. Unfortunately, majority of the oppressed class is coming from the Dalit community. So if any rational person wants to do something for the oppressed class, I'm not talking about the caste, I'm talking about the oppressed class, the section will be filled up by the oppressed caste. This is the social reality of our society. Next, we come up that you mentioned about the affirmative actions. So how it has been interpreted. When it was added in the constitution, it was done in a very systematically and very rational manner. For example, that 15.5% was the scheduled caste population, so that much reservation was given. 7.5% was the entire population of the country I'm talking about. So that much reservation was given. It was not like that these communities has been oppressed for thousands of years, let's replace them with the entire system. It was not like that. It was done very systematically. But what has been done by the Savarna or the oppressed castes is, they found another way of discriminating people. Earlier they used to discriminate you on the basis of the caste, and some people are able to utilize their abilities, their talent through the reservation policies. So they start discriminating, oh, you are taking away our seats. So that is a new form of discrimination is built up. Second, that in terms of the education and the mobilization of the students, there are a lot of talent. When we are talking about any development of any nation, so India is widely known as the youth nation. And when we are talking about the youth, it is disheartening for me, and I'm sure for everybody, when you see somebody is doing a very small, very, very menial work, let's say a sweeping, like manual scavenging kind of work. This is the youth is doing in India. On the one hand, you're talking about the social welfare, development of the state, we are the youth nation, and you are misusing the entire youth. So if you are not doing something for the community as a Dalit community, you are doing something anti-national in itself. You want to develop your nation and you are not doing it any for your community. The third thing is that how the students should come up and everything, that we need to see that India is also going towards the decentralization. The reservation is only implemented in the government institute, but all the agencies in the recent years especially, that they are going to the privatization. So in the private sector, there is no reservation. There is no benefit of the reservation. So we need to think about that, how we can do it on our levels. And when we are talking about the history, she's right. We have never been discussed in my school or colleges. Our historians has not written about the Dalit heroes, Dalit history, the Dalit operations. You will find only one small paragraph about the Ambedkar. Then the Ambedkar is a name on the global level. In the US, America, like wherever you just Google him. And this is the identity has been given in India. So what we are trying to do is to make I'm just a little bit, my contribution is there, that we need to make a parallel space, parallel body to enable Dalits or the oppressed class, no matter which community they come from. Muslim also, we try to accommodate, because there's no, when you are oppressed, you don't do discrimination. And this is few things we do, like for example, helping them in their application process and on the whatever level we can. Because we cannot rely on the government only. And the same things goes to the foreign institutes, that when they are like the subalterns and everything under the, like the Asians has been represented, the university also, including my university or your university, they need to understand where are these admissions are going, where are these scholarships going, where this employment for the teachers are going. So one community was the oppressor in India who migrate to another country, becomes the minority. So they are enjoying the benefits of the country there, and they being the minority and they're taking the benefits of another country. And we are talking about the minority and we are forgetting who was the minority in your home state. So this is my stance. Thank you.
Some of the challenges for the academics in higher education is how do we translate the kind of stories we hear about India into a practice? Into practice by, we heard from Shareefa that she says she has become activist since completing her degree. I knew that when I was teaching her. I might tell you the story later on. But it's so important to understand both the conceptually what's happening in this planet, historically what is going on, and where are the injustices, and what can we do about it. And one of the important roles of academics is to bring that translation not by dictating all the time to students what they should do, but encouraging them, opening this space that they can have dialogue, discuss among themselves the kind of problems that they are facing at the university or outside the university. Not just about mental health, not just about problems in India, not just about whatever is happening elsewhere. So without our intervention, the students can engage and can develop ideas. They can also develop practices that it can bring liberation to both the students and the others. So I suppose what I'm trying to take you is how our role should sometimes be disconnected from the body of the students that they want to make their own decision, which way they want to travel. And I think Shareefa is a great example of this, and she's sitting here now. So I suppose my question is from of the students is really in two levels or in two parts. One is, what is their contribution to the kind of world that they are living, that they want to make sure that is diverse, is inclusive, and there is justice? And also, what do they think Den has done to bring that equality and justice and diversity to our university and beyond? Over to maybe Jack can start first. Jack? Yeah. Jake, I'm talking about. Sorry.
Thank you, Farhang. So for me, I remember when Farhang asked me if I want to join this panel, my response was, are you sure you want a white guy to be talking about inclusivity? I feel like in the UK, I feel like I've been quite lucky. But I kind of half jokingly said it because, we all have like a kind of conversation to have here. We all have a piece of that conversation to have. For me, I think the most important thing is to, first of all, listen. I feel like that's kind of my main role kind of in this conversation. And kind of understand, we're all here today because we're talking about kind of like quite tough conversations. And we all obviously want to learn and kind of understand the kind of systems that we live in. So for me, it's about kind of listening, first of all, understanding, kind of knowing the facts and behind these kind of things. And equally, for me, whilst I aspire to kind of work in fields where I'm kind of making change in the world, I think I firstly kind of focus on my individual, how I present myself in the world, the conversations that I have with people. So I kind of first focus on my kind of individual autonomy, I suppose. So for me, the kind of learning process is really important. Equally, because I wasn't born in London. I come from Portsmouth, which is a fairly big city in the UK, but it's quite different from London. And for me, it's quite important to learn these things to then better recognize and understand when I should be challenging people around me, when it comes to kind of some of these issues that we're talking about. I think a lot of the UK is still quite white in terms of demographic, and we see quite a polarization in kind of a lot of topics in politics around kind of things like migration and multiculturalism. And so for me, it's kind of like really trying to bridge that gap just from my kind of personal bubble, I suppose, my kind of family unit, my friends' units. So for me, that's the kind of most important thing that I try to learn and take away. Equally, I would say having your morals kind of at the forefront of what you do. When you go into work environments, there'll be a lot of times when you have to I think you'll be confronted with kind of like your morals and kind of have to kind of do things that maybe don't kind of feel right. And I think remembering kind of what is important to you is really important in challenging the kind of people around you, the structures around you, to kind of be better, essentially. I think we live in a world that, we talked about capitalism earlier. I think we live in a world that doesn't really place doesn't place as much value on the human happiness as it should. And I think that we all have a duty to ourselves and those around us to really push for a better treatment of those around us. And that can be in a lot of different aspects of life, but for me, that's something that I've really tried to hold on to through my career. Yeah, I think that was everything I wanted to say. I think sticking to your morals and understanding is important. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Can I go? I will ask you, all of you, do you consider yourself English, yes? You're born in England, you're English, right? Are you English? No, you were not born here.
No, I'd say I'm British, I'm not English.
Okay, but let's say you were you born here?
Yeah, I'm born in England.
Okay.
I'm of Indian heritage.
So let's say, I know, but okay. My question is, would you, if you are somewhere you don't know anybody, and you meet an English person, you would, I don't know, maybe now here in England, you would have never spoken to this person because you have nothing in common, but you go, I don't know, China, and you meet one English person. Is it not automatic that suddenly you bond with that person because he's just the only person maybe who speaks language, and suddenly you feel, that feeling of belonging? And it's for sure it's the same for me. If I meet somebody from my country, they will be like, oh, how are you? Or where do you consider being born? Are you Indian, yes? Nigerian. So let's say if there is a game, a football game or any kind of sport, would you support Nigeria?
Absolutely.
Naturally, of course, because that's normal. So my point is all those artificially imagined communities, I go back to Anderson's point, that it's not natural, it's not real. It has come out not very long time ago, thanks to capitalism and thanks to actually finding print services and the whole media after to spread that fear, belonging, patriotism sometimes. Same for India. I don't think it was really fair just after pretty much 100 years of being under colonial rule, just suddenly being left off like a baby, just okay, so just deal with yourself, artificially created states. Suddenly there was India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, which the communities that were split not according to caste or race, but just according to someone just decided, okay, so here is going to be state, this state and that state. Therefore, of course, it creates hatred, which is unnatural, unfortunately, absolutely. And just my point is, we should look at what's happened in the past to change the future, really. Thank you.
I just wanted to add to your point because, for example, last year I was in Thailand for 6 months just training Muay Thai, and I met an English guy, and there was a guy from India, born and raised in India, and there's myself. And the English guy kept telling people, anytime someone asked me, like Turkish guys or whoever, they were like, where are you from? like, what are you? And I was like, yeah, I'm Indian from England. And every time he just kept interrupting, and he started telling me, the English guy started to interrupt and say, no, she's not, she's English. I was like, who are you to tell me how I should introduce myself? You're a white man, know your place, don't get involved in that identity. Because that was really upsetting for me, because I'm just like, how dare you? I'm in Thailand and you're still trying to feel entitled to tell me how I should identify myself. I'm not white, I'm of Indian heritage. I connect with the guy that's come from India. So I think that in itself is a very touchy thing for a lot of people, and I think that does need to be taken into consideration.
Yeah, I think what is my contribution to ADI? I think being an advocate, and speaking up wherever I come across anything that doesn't sit well with me, especially as a black person. And also, very importantly, recognizing my privilege as a black man when compared to a black woman. I come from a country, Nigeria, where sadly, male children are still regarded as, more important or more valued than female children. And recognizing that privilege and using it to speak up against such atrocity, to me, is something that I take very seriously. And as a student, that is part of DEN, and I think a lot of us do come to university to learn, but we forget that there are so many things that we need to unlearn, which is very important. And I think what a way DEN has contributed to that in my journey here is giving me that space to have that conversations, dialogue you wouldn't naturally have in classrooms. Spaces where you could write, this is it, this is what I believe. There's a counter argument for it, and then you look at that, and then you move forward, learning new things like that. So I think that's one contribution that I would say DEN has given me. But very importantly also, until we live in a society where everyone feel they don't have to explain their gender, background, race, ability, to feel welcome, to feel as part of the society. Until then, I think all of us in this room should always speak out and be an advocate for anything that has to do with ADI.
Can I thank you all for contributing towards what I consider very important to come from you. At this point, I want to introduce Shareefa to read some of her poems. Shareefa told you that I and Divyesh taught her sometimes about 10 years ago. And I remember after 2 years, Shareefa called me somewhere in the reception, and she said, Farhang, I don't want to study anymore. This was second year. I want to be an activist. I want to read. I want to write. And I want to write my poems. And I thought, what's the matter with you, Shareefa? You only have 1 year left. And I had to convince her with whatever weapons I had. Just to stay 1 more year, you'll finish your degree. It's not worth it to leave now. And she said, yes, no, in the end she stayed. And I'm very, very happy that she stayed and she finished her degree, whatever is worth that degree. But one thing she did do, she carried on, she continued with her passion. I have seen Shareefa growing and seeing her in the newspaper, TV, radio show, everywhere. And this is the most, or perhaps the best part of being an academic. When you see students blossoming, then you say to yourself, wow. I don't know what has been my contribution towards Shareefa, but one thing I know, the connection. And that connection is worth a lot. There is no price on it. I want to invite Shareefa to come and talk.
Thank you so much, Farhang. I doubt I'm going to get married, so that's probably like my dad talking and giving a little speech about me. Thank you. Yeah, the first piece I'm going to share with you all is called Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. Who's the fairest? Indian children chant in madrasa, comparing skin tones, peering into eyes to glimpse hazel, pulling out the end of their plaits from under hijabs, eyes wide. Her hair is brown, fangirling over snow white. An Indian mother asked her daughter's friend, "Come over here, let me see who is prettier." Grabbed my wrist to place it over her child's. Both children frowned, stood awkward. My mother, irritated, praised the scolded girl. An elderly woman gloats, "Marina wasi gori na jiwi lage." My granddaughter looks like a white girl. My grandmother raises a brow. Daughters in India wear socks with sandals. No one will marry me if my feet are dark. Anxious over potential husbands, inspecting, encumbered by foot fetish. Self-consciously, she carries trays of masala chai and samosas for suitors. English women in India tailors magazines, modeling Asian bridal wear. Even the Aishwarya Rais no longer qualify. Scars colonialism planted, potent salt rubbed into wounds. The caste system reeks putrid. And I just felt that was important to share, because even then, people always talk about the Hindu community and casteism, but when I was in India as well, I saw a lot of casteism even from the Muslim community, towards the Adivasi community, towards the Dalit community. And at the same time, even when I've seen a lot of Muslim communities mobilizing around Hindutva fascism, some of them don't even know about Dalit people and Adivasis. And I was like, how can you mobilize around that if you don't even know about people that are so heavily impacted by the racism in India? So the next piece, one moment. Because I'm here and I was an international relations student, I'll share this piece with you also. It's called Displaced Development. Notice orders from foreign investors landing on disgruntled doorsteps, indisputable timeframes distributed, soil below window sills uprooted, mud spluttering, squelching like quicksand, foreigners posing to redevelop countries after war, pretenses of support in the morning, their eyes gleaming with a money-making plan, NGOs aided by mining companies, one big surreptitious money-making scam, $6 billion donated for Haiti, 6 houses built, 2 toilets. Where did the money go for Grenfell Red Cross? No transparency or accountability. Locals in Sierra Leone have to have a license to generate incomes from diamonds deep within their own sand. Pittances paid. Safari suits, chino pockets getting thicker by the band. They indoctrinate perspectives, drastically changes when you land, blame compliance on local government, shift responsibility from their own hands, silent about middle-aged white men, teenage girls in their hotel bedsheets and compound, sexual misconduct allegations against Oxfam. They went to save the children. Children went home empty-handed, tattered garments, by proxy enforcers slip notices through gaps under doorways, adamant heels dug deep, resisting threats to be displaced, constant battles with the deluded, reluctantly strapping on orange jackets, blistering labor, pennies handed, manufacturing explosions in mines, volcano molded, the ground trembles, cement in newly made home cracks, no vegetation, no daily market, no peasantries on the compound, and English-only fools and horses, expectations of receiving applause. She wants to stay living in a jungle, even after being bit by a snake in Mumbai. The only snake feared has eyes, human clouded, resembling those who decades earlier looted turmeric and cotton, future prospects and living arrangements seemingly uncertain, remaining defiant, clairvoyant for born and unborn grandchildren. Children resilient for their parents. Existence is resistance. Humans should not be at risk of extinction, brutalized by hungry corporations, taxpayers persecuted. They want to stay home, continue living in their familiar houses. No high alert over their shoulders, anxious of elastic pulled out their trousers. Those that appeared like the village needed saviors, like the village needed foreigners cringing at soiled feet, parading in their neo-colonial boots, deceiving developers, displacing communities in suits. I'll finish on this one because of timing. But yeah, I've got copies of my poetry collection if anyone would like to get one. I've got my card reader as well, Galaxy Walk. I'll sign it for you, obviously. But yeah, so yeah, when I say the word Thomas Cook, what comes to mind?
Travel.
Travel? Sorry, I can't even hear anybody. Holidays, yeah. Okay. Do you say what, sorry? Trouble, yeah. Okay. I see the beauty through the flames of the hell that we're living in. I know my test is to be mentally and spiritually strong, though they try to entrap people physically, a psychological bully. But I know I've got to strengthen my spirit in preparation for dark times, because we only live once on this earth in our lifeline. But I'm not blind to the reality and negative energies they boil, so I stay awake sewing together my spiritual shield. So many spirits are disturbing, but me, they're not fooling, stalling. I see the truth even when I take a breather, because truth can be very overwhelming, but I'd rather feel truth than continue to believe the way they present the world to be a Thomas Cook magazine. Sun hat, suntan, brown sign and sunscreen, sliking around on our holidays, not knowing in Australia there was a mass grave, in Rottnest Island a mass concentration camp, but they only tell us what they need to get tourism stamps. So many lies they've told, but I don't buy it. I've been to Toronto, but no mention of the indigenous man. And when I went to France to see Disneyland, only a teenager posed for pictures with an army man. But if school had showed me in the history plan the truth of France's blunder and their bloody hands, if school had shown me the Battle of Algiers, then I would have been more astute than an army fan. But they glossed over Europe's colonial past and made me feel wrongly frustrated in my history class. I always knew something wasn't right, but I didn't quite buy the story of being simply an economic migrant's child. A confused diaspora, stuck in a tree of identities, Muslim, British, Indian, pulled in different directions like curious elasticity. Where do I go? Who am I? Where am I supposed to be? They made me feel inferior, so I bellowed my A's in their faces from my GCSEs. I come from a great culture of old civilizations and illiterate. Poetry's in my veins and a melody of my father's old Hindi cassettes. So I choose to express and not let the fire burn in my chest. I set my paper alight with my pen. Notebook and microphone, my closest friends. History is ongoing, it doesn't stay in the past tense. They're denying Caribbean islands reparations. There's no blur in my history lens. So tell Thomas Cook to hook up a new tourism guide, not one to ogle at indigenous people, but with truth to confide. I don't want to be blind like the shock on tourist faces when witnessing sleeping bags in Victoria, expecting only shopping and daisies. Thank you very much.
Well, since you're very, very interested, she's going to have second act tomorrow night. We are going to have a conference in here, then democratic education will start 9:30, and Shareefa will be our guest. If you'd like to come back tomorrow, you're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Farhang, for that. As we have an international student conference tomorrow, day long. Even if you're not a student, you're welcome for that. So come and drop. If you're students, just send them here. No need to register. We'll manage that somehow tomorrow. So that's there. I wanted to thank all the panelists here. But before I formally thank other people, I'd like to invite Professor Alex Hughes back, please.
Thank you very much, Dibyesh. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I know that some of you have been here for the entire day. It's been a very long day, as well as a very rich day, and I promise you that Dibyesh and I are going to keep our remarks very short before we point everybody towards the reception. But I did want to say a very big thank you to all of our panellists, all our speakers, everybody convening the panels. Huge thank you to Sara Suprajali, who has masterminded everything and kept everything going behind the scenes. I think I've got 3 takeaways from today. The first is what a fantastic thing it is to do to approach racism intersectionally. I think it's been such a rich day. We've gone into details, we've gone into depth, and we've looked at connections. I think the second thing, which has come out very strongly today, is that we have to be mindful of the differences between differences and to recognise that lumping things into one big sort of bag of that which is the object of racism is not the way to go. So intersectionality and distinction are both themes that have come out so importantly today, and it's critical that we remember that. And I think the other thing I've thought today is how important it is for us to listen. People like me, particularly in management positions, but all of us, we've listened a lot today, we've learned a lot, and that is critical, and we have to keep on doing that. So that's really all I wanted to say. Thanks, guys, for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. And from my side, because Alex has already covered most of it, so apart from Zara, there's Victoria there. Yes, where's Victoria? Thank you. And by the way, it's not, and when you meet people who are doing catering, colleagues who are helping out with catering, do thank them because they've done amazing work today. People who have been recording there also, right? And the main thing I take away from this is, of course, is we need more of this, right? So you can imagine, I mean, but like I was just speaking to Sushant, for instance, and even you earlier, that on caste, we are not doing justice to even starting a conversation. But what we can promise you in this context is we will have more of it. All kinds of racism are unacceptable. We have to learn more about it. We have to challenge them and work together. So we promise that we will happen in the future. So again, if you have ideas on what more we can do over the next year, next 2 years, just reach out to us. We promise we'll do something about it. We can't solve the problem in the world, but we do understand one thing. We are determined to change the world for better. That determination is very much there. On that level, thank you so much to everyone, and join us for the reception there, outside. Reception. Yeah. Oh, and there's a symposium on 24th. We'll send an email to all those who have registered later. So anyway, join us for reception. Thanks. I'll send an email to all of you.